Two tech behemoths, Alphabet and Microsoft, set to report results today after the bell, with the focus largely on AI monetization. We're going to have Wang, Constellation Research Principal Analyst and Founder, and Daniel Flax, Neuberger, Berman, Senior Research Analyst, both joining us as we look ahead to those results. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Ray, let me start with you because I know you own both Microsoft as well as Alphabet. AI monetization, the integration, revenue coming in. How are you looking at these two companies and what do you expect?
These two companies approach everything in two different ways. Microsoft has an amazing sales team, and they incorporated OpenAI, which is not something they had built on their own, and managed to build this big partner ecosystem. And they're going to try to show that there's intelligent enterprise and the intelligent cloud. That's where the revenue is coming from on that end. And Google, on the other hand, has been coming at it from a very, very carefully curated way, coming at it from search, and they're actually showing a lot of traction in terms of what's happening in cloud. Both these companies are depending on AI and cloud revenue. AI is the pass-through and pull-through for Microsoft and also for Google when we're talking about cloud and AI. And you cannot separate those two, and they're actually having an impact on revenue.
And Daniel, I want to bring you in here because obviously Satya Nadella probably feeling pretty good about everything with that $3 trillion market valuation. But what are you going to want to hear, not just in the earnings report, but also on the earnings call about how they're embedding AI into their existing products and services?
We'll be looking for signs that they're making continued progress with solutions like Copilot, for example, where it remains early. Really, if we step back and really think about what's going on here, it's about helping users make better informed decisions, work faster, work more efficiently. That drives productivity in organizations and ultimately contributes to Microsoft's growth. So we'll look to see how they're navigating what is, of course, a difficult environment. But the key is investing, innovating, and empowering others to be successful on the Microsoft platform.
Daniel, we have seen Microsoft out ahead on AI. The question is how much of that value from Copilot has actually been unlocked. We've heard from the company sort of hint that this is just the beginning in terms of user experience. How are you looking at that specifically, Daniel?
It's very early. When we talk to users, there's a lot of potential with Copilot, but it's going to take time, a lot of iterating. All organizations are going to have to adjust their processes, work carefully with Microsoft and its partners to really implement this and drive productivity. There are areas like software development, for example, where you can see faster returns, but it's going to be this ability to help or use AI to help drive revenue, become more efficient on the cost side. It's a journey, but I think it's going to ultimately result in Microsoft becoming a more durable business and more valuable to its customers and its broader ecosystem.
And Ray, of course, we have to talk some of the downside risk as well. What are you pricing in terms of some of the potential for more FTC scrutiny on some of these mergers and acquisitions? Do you think investors are paying enough attention to that? And will we hear perhaps more of that on the earnings call?
The investors aren't paying as much attention as they should be on the downside risks. There's antitrust coming on both ends for Microsoft and Google, always that threat that looms there. But Microsoft has a different risk. They actually have to increase their CapEx spending because they did such a good job with sales that they have to keep up with the demand. So that's more chips, that's more data centers, that's upgrading aging data centers and providing more capacity. On the Google side, we definitely see that there could be some risk. They're also looking for a new CFO. They've also have to actually invest in CapEx to keep up with that demand, and that operates in a very different level. But I do want to go to something that was said earlier. The interesting thing about Microsoft here is that intelligent cloud revenue could be up to $25 billion this quarter, and that's really all the embedding of AI across the portfolio. We don't have the same breakdown on the Google side, and I think people are going to be focusing to see what part of the revenue is creating growth, how much of the pull and lift really AI is driving in creating the cloud revenue at Google. And that's going to be the question, is Microsoft taking revenue from Google, and how, if so, how much?
So Ray, let's kind of break down that complicated landscape for Google, because when you think about it, on the one hand, the company's trying to make progress on AI, integrate that across their products. At the same time, there's been a lot of investor concern about how generative AI is likely to weigh on their core search business. How do you look at that right now? Is that ultimately a plus for Google, or are they going to see a bit of a pullback on search because of the way in which the user experience is going to change with generative AI?
That's a great question. And I actually believe that search is actually not going to be impacted as much. Generative AI is actually helping them with internal efficiencies. And we actually think that they're going to do very well on the ad side of the business. And of course, on the core advertising, search will look different. People are going to approach search in a different way. You might not always have the best answer first. You might have multiple types of answers. And I think that's going to spook customers for a little bit. But once they get used to how they can actually use prompts to actually get to an answer that fits them best, they'll be able to do that. But Google has spent years trying to say we've got the best search result, and the paradigm is shifting, and that's what's going to change.
And so, Daniel, with that in mind, obviously, Google has been that front runner when it comes to search. You have Bing and its Copilot as well here. So when you add that into the mix, then what does this mean for advertisers who are trying to get the most eyes they can, and they're trying to navigate where's the best ROI if they're looking at, say, a Google versus a Microsoft option?
When we speak to advertisers, even over the last year, and more importantly, looking forward, they derive significant returns on their investment from Google. And so what I suspect we'll see with generative AI is that it will be a richer, more engaging experience for the users on one side and the advertisers on the other. And so with that in mind, I think there's potential to grow the pie and continue to expand search. Ultimately, it's about driving outcomes for all the participants in the search platform. And so while competition is going to remain fierce, I think what we'll see from Google this evening and over the next year is that search is durable. And ultimately, if they can reinvent it as they've shown that they can historically, I think the business and the broader search platform at Google will remain vibrant with good growth prospects.
Well, I know everyone will be certainly watching these two companies closely to see the fate of the rest of the Mag 7 as well. Appreciate both of you joining us. Ray Wang, Constellation Research Principal Analyst and Founder, and Daniel Flax, Neuberger Berman Senior Research Analyst. A big thank you to you both for joining us.